Live.
Good evening, everybody. Greetings on behalf of the Integrative Medicine Case Reports, Yoga Scholars, PGIMER. As we move on with our Integrative Medicine Case Report series and our what is called the educational series, today is a very unique opportunity for us to learn how to improve quality. And this we brought after so many weeks of discussions, deliberations, and our internal discussions on how we can improve and take the discussions forward to the ground, to action. And when we do this action is integrative healthcare, action is documentation of our research data, of publishing it. So how to improve this action, how to perform better in yoga, how to do a better Ayush practice, how to be a better physician, how to be a good scientist. And this requires what is already available to us, what is called in different names, quality assurance. Some people call it Six Sigma. Some people call it by other names, GCP, good clinical practices. Some people in the lab call it good lab practices. But these are not just names that we hear in our courses. We do not go much into the details, but there is a whole lot of regimen, a structure of how to perform, how to do better. So you may recall our previous guest who was with us, Mr. Sethuraman Krishnamurthy. He gave a talk and we extracted a promise that he will come back again, and he's kept his promise, and we have widely circulated this workshop. This workshop is going to be for 4 days, and this you should attend for all the 4 days. I inspire you, I really request you to make best use of it. This is otherwise, if you go out somewhere, if you try to learn these things in corporate, these are heavily charged workshops. But Mr. Sethuraman has offered this free. And we encourage you all, Ayush people, physicians, PhD students, yoga practitioners, to walk through this 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day workshop starting today, 31st. And he will be covering, Mr. Krishnamurthy, Mr. Sethuraman will be covering 4 aspects of quality. Number 1 is definition of the problem or the identification of the problem. It could be a problem in the business of an enterprise or your project. And second, tomorrow we will discuss its analysis, how to perform analysis and do it in a structured way, in a way that is less empirical, more objective, and you can measure it. And third day, that is day after tomorrow, he will talk on solutions, how to arrive at a solution, whether a business solution or a research solution or a solution for COVID or a drug or a vaccine or anything that you can think of that you're passionate or you're working in whatever professional expertise or ground that you're working on. And the 4th day of the workshop is going to delve on how to sustain the solution. So once you are with the solution, a lot of people start projects, but are not able to sustain it. And that's where which is the key to success, the key for a person to advance in the career, a key to an organization to advance in a particular lifespan of an organization, or for a country to sustain its success. So let's welcome Mr. Sethuraman Krishnamurthy. I'll formally introduce him to you, although he's very familiar with us. Thank you, Mr. Sethuraman, for joining us. I'll just introduce you to everybody. Mr. Sethuraman is a mathematician with a very strong IT background, 33 years of experience in operational research and running an enterprise. He runs Prague Robotics, and he has been a black belt and in Six Sigma. He has done more than 150 Six Sigma workshops across the globe, more than 26 countries, corporates, professionals, students, and he loves to teach and disseminate information. And he told me he was very inspired by our platform and the fact that we are trying to combine the best of the East and West, the traditional and the modern aspects, and by following the processes. And he mentioned that he would like to come and tell and share with us how to report data, document data, and follow the processes so we can not only come up with an evidence-based integrative healthcare model or a regimen in our hospitals for patients, for doctors, but more importantly, do it in a verifiable way, in an auditable way, and something the data can be archived and retrieved in that way. And that way, if we go in that way, Mr. Sethuraman feels, and I endorse that, and I also agree, that if we do it in a process-oriented way, we can actually acquire global leadership. So with that in mind, and with those thoughts, I welcome you again, Mr. Sethuraman. Please enlighten us, and we'll be listening to you on Facebook Live, and you can flip in the slides and you can flip out and you can do as you wish. We're all ears and eyes to you, and I'll switch off my video camera and listen to you. Viewers, if you have any questions, please type in the Facebook. And if you want to come to Zoom, just type that also. I'll send you the Zoom link and we'll be able to learn together. Thank you very much and welcome, Mr. Sethuram.
Thank you. That was a wonderful introduction again. Thank you so much, Dr. Akshay. And one thing always gives me immense pleasure is, whatever you learn, whatever you know, when you share that with others, that knowledge multiplies. And so today, the next 4 days, I'm here to, share whatever knowledge I gained in my life with respect to Six Sigma. With this, I want to start the program. Okay, as I think Dr. Akshay has given already what is going to happen in the next 4 days. So in interest of time, I'm not going to repeat that. Straight away, we get into the program. While Six Sigma is a version, and I'm sure it cannot be covered in just 4 days with 4.5 hours. However, what I have geared up to, what I have devised is a glimpse of the programs, a glimpse of sessions the next 4 days that will definitely give you the key points about Six Sigma. However, again, I given a word to him. I am open. Anyone can talk to me, approach me, and I'm here to help you guys. Whatever I know, I will share you guys. Six Sigma. When you talk about Six Sigma, it has two views. Okay, I will be switching over between the some PowerPoint slides and my speech. So create certain inconvenience. Please bear with me. What are the Six Sigma has two major views, two different views, two different aspects. I would say that. Aspect one, you can use Six Sigma. The second thing is you can use Six Sigma as a tool to identify the defects, the variations, the root cause in your problem, in your projects, and how to solve them and how to move forward. There are two things. I'm sure most of the people who are viewing today are interested to learn more about the second point, that is, the project as a tool, how you can use Six Sigma. So I'm going to take that route today. Let me just share my PowerPoint. Okay, as I told you, this is the first view. You can use Six Sigma as a business strategy program, wherein you can set the main core process and sub process of your project, of your business. What is it you want to achieve through your business, and set targets to all your teams, all your functions in your company or business, and ensure that everybody works in the process orientation way, meaning for everybody, the sub goals will be set and they are all working towards the main goal, which is the key goal of the company. That is how the business strategy works. The other view, the problem solving technique. You can use Six Sigma as a problem solving technique, wherein you can eliminate the defects, you can reduce the variation in the process, and you can sustain the business. Okay, now, a question, why Six Sigma? Why not 7 Sigma, 8 Sigma, or 4 Sigma? What is the sanctity of the number 6? Okay, whenever you ask someone, how much you scored in mathematics? They say, I scored 100. In science, 99, 98. So you kind of measure their score with a percentage in general. When you come to Six Sigma, we calculate the process improvement by the keyword DPMO, which means defect per million opportunities. Defects per million opportunities. So Six Sigma process is, first we will calculate the DPMO, and that will tell you at which sigma your process is working today. Having said that, I won't take you through the What is the DPMO and how to calculate that, how to relate that with Six Sigma. Because this is very important. Understanding the DPMO is very important. DPMO. To understand DPMO, first of all, you have to understand what is defects. Defects per million opportunity. You have to understand what is defect and what is defective. There's a difference between defects and defective. What is defect? In simpler terms, you buy a pen, right? As a client, you buy a pen. You see that. What do you want to see in the pen? I will take some 2-3 characters of a pen. You are buying a pen. Then the top there will be a press button on and off. That should work. And there's a clip in it. You should tie. You can put it in your shirt pocket or somewhere. It should work. Very importantly, pen is to write. The tip has to flow the right ink, isn't it? It is going to throw a lot smudges. Otherwise, it don't work. So when you buy a pen, you look at these things. So when you buy a pen, or when the manufacturers are manufacturing the pen, how they measure, right? How many defects I'm making in the pen. So say for example, if a pen has, I'm just taking only 3 defects as example. If I say defects, the pen has 3 defects. The pen can have 3 defects. The tip, the ink flow may not be good. The flip may not work. The press button may not work. So a pen can be faulted in 3. So if you have one of the problem, you call that defect. 1, 2, 3 defects. If one of the problem has, you call the pen as a defective pen. Even it has a one defect, you call that as a defective pen. So difference between defect and defective is in a product, if you have multiple failures, that's called defects. Together the product has even one failure, it's called a defective products. Understand? Now in Six Sigma, we go through everything. In Six Sigma, the key is you measure the process. You improve the process. You go by the process. I think in the last session, I explained you what is process. You want an output for which you take certain inputs and run set of activities. So input, activities, get the output. This is called a process. For you to get the right output, your process should be, the process character should be perfect. You run the process carefully and the input should be perfect. If you have problem with input or processing problem, then you'll have a problematic output. So the process. Six Sigma, everything goes by process. Now, I want to explain you how to calculate the DPMO and I'll come back. So I'm going to share my slides. Okay. Now I have a pen. As I told you, the pen by itself, it may have, I will talk about the defects first. Number 1, the press button not working is one defect. The clip is broken, the second defect. Eye flow of ink, that's a third defect. So the pen can have 3 defects, but the pen itself is a defective pen. So there's a difference between defect and defective. Now I'm just, explain you the DPMO calculation. First of all, you should first thing is N. N is nothing but the total, what you producing. In our case, we are talking about pen. Imagine a pen factory. So pen factory is producing a lot of pens. So here, the total number of pens produced. The total number of item produced is always called N. Okay. Then in that output, in this particular product or service, what are the failure it can have? Those things are called defect. Just now explained you what are the defects a pen can have. Similarly, any product, any service can have multiple defects. So we need to understand the defects. Then opportunities. Now, one pen, say for example, I am producing one pen. So it can have 3 defects. As I'm just taking 3 for a simplicity. There could be many defects. I'm taking only 3 as a number. So one pen can have 3 defects. Now I am producing say 1,000 pens, which means I have 1,000 into 3,000 opportunities I have. So when I want to calculate defects per opportunity, the defects divided by opportunity in the units. That gives you the defects per opportunity. This is called DPO. If you multiply the DPO by 1 million, you get defects per million. If I'm going to give you a scenario, an example that will give you more clarity. Scenario. In a pen manufacturing unit, produced 5,000 pen in a shift. And they are end of the shift, they are conducting an audit to check the key quality parameters. Say, press button is working, the ink flow is perfect. Say, there are two things they want to check. The audit finding revealed that they found one pen, one out of the 5,000 pen having a clip is broken. Another 2 pens have the press button is not working. Now we need to find the process DPMO and the sigma level. How to find out the sigma level for this particular process. Now here, what is unit? The 5,000 pen. Number of units produced here is 5,000. So unit is equal to N is equal to 5,000. Now the opportunities, you have two opportunities here. One opportunity is press button is not working. Another opportunity is ink flow is perfect or not. There could be an issue there. That's the second opportunity. Now the third is, what are the real defects? What is the audit finding? They found 3 pens having problem. One having a clip broken, 2 having a button is not working. Now I'm going to calculate the DPMO. Again, for your memory, I'm bringing, this is the N is units, D is defect, O is opportunity. We need to calculate the DPMO, then the DPMO, then find the Six Sigma from the conversion table. Here N is 5,000 pens, D is 3 defects, right? That totally out of the 5,000, they found 3 defects. Opportunity, I have 2 defects, two defect opportunity per pen. And DPO, what is DPO? D divided by N into O, that is 3 defects divided by the total of 5,000 into 2, that is 3 by 10,000, which is 0.0003. So my DPO is 003. Now DPMO, what is DPMO? Simply multiply the DPO by 10 million, 1 million, that gives you the number 300. Now in the pen factory, in the morning shift, they produce 5,000 pens with the 3 defects, each pen having a 2 different opportunity. Their DPO is 300. What does it mean? Well, okay, my DPO 300. Now we say there is a table, conversion table. This is a statistical conversion table, standard across the globe. So now, okay, some reason it's not working. Not an issue. We'll keep moving. If you open that chart, it really tells you for the DPO will start from 1 to 1 million. It will go, and for each number, against each number, it tell you what is the sigma level. That's what it tell you. Now, for this 300, the sigma level is 4.9. If you see the conversion table, I can share that with you guys. So for a DPMO of 300, the sigma is, for the process sigma is 4.9. So the company can say, I am running at 4.9 sigma. So for a simple, if you want to understand, okay, see, mathematics, I know 100, science, I know 95. How I should relate this to a percentage? Yes, it is nothing but this is 99.97%. That is the, in our, in the yield percentage, if you tell, it is 99.97. In sigma language, it is 4.9, which is a 300 dPm. Now, hope you got a glimpse of what is the DPMO, how to calculate that. I'm sure I'm rushing a little because I need to cover a couple of more topics. And I'm open for any questions, and I'm always there to provide any information and support you guys on an ongoing basis. Now, one question can be, when there is a percentage, why should I calculate by sigma, and why that is 6 sigma? Still, I have not come to that point. Now, when I have a water, I always measure that by liter. When I have a solid, I always measure that by a kilogram. When I have a distance, I calculate by kilometer. So for everything, there is a measure, unit of measure is available. Similarly, in Six Sigma, to measure the process, right? There is something called CPK values. That is a different story in statistical. To relate that straight away here, we have the DPMO calculation. You are having a process that is producing again, producing multiple products. So what is my process quality? that has derived in the name of DPMO, which is in turn called sigma levels. As I told you, DPMO you calculate, look into the table, that will tell you what sigma you are at, and it will tell you the percentage also. Now, why Six Sigma? Right? Share again. Look at this table. This table. Now, if we have, we just calculated 300 DPMO, right? 300 DPMO is what we are just, I'm just showing my cursor there. 300 DPMO, which is coming to somewhere 4.9 sigma, between 4 and 5 sigma, it is coming to, right? Now, if you're process producing, say for example, you are producing 1 million product, you are producing 1 million pen, and that is producing 690, that you are getting a 690,000 defects, DPMO, the top a given sigma level, a given DPMO yield, which means you are processed at 1 sigma. In other words, your percentage is at 31% is what your yield percentage. Now, similarly, if it is this number, 3 lakh, then it is you are at 2 sigma and your percentage is 69.20. If you are producing 66,000, you are at 3 sigma and it is at 93%. Similarly, 6,000 is 4 sigma, 300, you can see the numbers are reducing. And if you produce 3.4 defects, then your process at 6 sigma, by and large, that is sufficient, right? Which means with respect to table, it is 99.9996, almost close to 100, right? Now you understand why 6 sigma. If it is 7 sigma, it may say even further. So by statistics, by experience, by the whole thing, 6 sigma is sufficient. And even you can take our flight landing, flight takeoff, and everything. It works at between 6 and 7 sigma, meaning in 1 million takeoffs and 1 million lands together, there are some 2 to 3 defects can happen. That is how they are kind of fine tuning their processes. So 6 sigma is kind of almost close to 100. Then the practitioners thought 6 sigma is good enough. It is not derived by us. There are giants and the great people who are practicing it day in day out. Many companies practicing these as their philosophy. So 6. That's the reason the number 6 is. Now quickly into 6 sigma. Now 6 sigma has 5 phases. As you may all know, it's called DMAIC. DNAIC. Define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. Now, already there is a process going on. Already I have a process. It's keep producing. But I'm not getting I checked my process level. I calculated the DPMO and I found it is only a 3 or 3.5 sigma. Not enough. So I want 6 sigma. So then you have to follow the DMAIC approach. Whenever you want to improve the existing process, a process is existing and you want to improve it, you use the formula, you use the phases, DMAIC. Now, I am going to devise a new process. I'm going to get a new process. There, DMAIC will not help. There's something called DFSS. That's called Design for 6 Sigma. Meaning, why to create problem, then work on the defects, and then improve the quality to 6 Sigma. Instead, set your process, define your process, design your process such a way that it produces 6 Sigma quality. So there are 2 approaches. To improve the existing process, you can use DMAIC. To improve to set a new process, use the DFSS cycle. Having said that, in the DMAIC cycle, if you go to DMAIC cycle, the first is define. Define what? Define what is the problem. Define what is the problem. Only if you tell what is your problem and people can give you can even now forget about people, even you can look for the solution, right? I want a key. Fine. Where is the lock? For which lock you want the key, right? Identify the lock first. And believe me, every lock has a key. So every problem has a solution. There is no problem without solution. A little, patience, more confidence, and full of data. In Six Sigma, we say something. We believe God, rest data. Nobody else. My boss, my subordinate, my wife, nobody can influence me. Either the God can influence me or my data will influence you. That is the principle of you have to understand. So if you have the patience, confidence, and the data, you will be able to get the solution for any problem. So first thing is define what is a problem. How to define a problem? You guys tell me what is problem. Is it whether you like it or not, making you to force and sit at 6 o'clock, listen to me? Is it a problem? Or what is the problem? Right? I know there are so many people are watching this. Everybody will have a different version for the problem, different explanation for the problem. I will kind of tell you what is the explanation problem. So it will suit. You all will agree with me. I am thinking I want to have a chola bhatura. I want to eat a chola bhatura. It's full hungry. And almost my tongue tinglers, having that chola bhatura taste already. I'm getting into a hotel. So I want chola bhatura, that with the chana, with the puffy chola, that puri, and the very, and with the hot, and I want entering there. And so yeah, 3 of us are here. Get me 3 chola bhatura. Service are over. My God, it's gone. So you have a problem. Huh? This is the simplest problem. You expect something and you don't get that. Whatever you expect and you get that, there is no fun in life, isn't it? Right? Well, as far as there is search, as far as there are challenges, you like the life. If it's becoming mundane, nothing to kindle your thoughts, what big deal was, isn't it? So now you have some expectation and the actual is different. So whenever there is a gap between what you want and what you get, that gap is called problem. Right? And okay, now I understand what is problem. So can I get into Six Sigma? Hold on. All your problems, right, need not qualify for a Six Sigma approach. Need not qualify for the DMAIC approach. You told me DFSS. No, forget. DFSS is new process. DMAIC is the existing process. But all your problems, it doesn't qualify neither DFSS or DMAIC. What do you mean? I'll share my presentation. We are done all these things. Now, as I told you, define, measure, analyze, improve, control. This is for improve the existing process. This is one formula. And these are the different outputs you'll be getting in each. That's what I'm explaining you. The first one I'm explaining you now, teaching you now. The second is DFSS, Design for Six Sigma. I've done it. What is the problem? I asked you. Also told you. The problem is the gap between desire and action. That's what problem. Now I said next is the qualifying project. How you qualify the project? Now, if you take any problem you take, the problem will have a cause, the problem will have a countermeasure. Right? Any problem you take, it has to have a cause. Why there is a problem? Because there is something is not working. So there is a cause. So that cause, and the moment you can get the cause, you are going to give a countermeasure. So any problem is surrounded by 2 things. One on his right cause, on his left countermeasure. Now, I'll take the first quadrant. Look at this. I have a problem, quadrant 1 problem, for which I know the cause, I know the countermeasure. Huh? Yes, sir. I have a problem. I looked into the cause. Oh, this is the cause. And countermeasure, that is also I know. Say, for example, hey man, you know what? I'm having a terrific headache. Right? Why? What happened? You know what? Last night I watched a movie. until 2 o'clock. Then I slept only in a few hours, got up. I've not had my breakfast. Now I rushed to my, workplace. So I have to take it. So, okay, if at all you had your breakfast and gone to bed early, would you got the headache? No, sir. You know the countermeasure. When you know the cause, when you know the countermeasure, what you are supposed to do? Don't worry, straight away go and implement all the problem here. Don't sit on the problem. The second thing, I know the cause, but I don't know the countermeasure. Whenever I need tiny letters, right, I get a headache. Whenever I see a heavy light, I get headache. Whenever I don't eat, I get headache. So multiple causes I know for my headache. But if I don't, what I'm supposed to, I don't know. In that case, approach expertise. The problem, go and approach expertise. They will tell you, they may analyze and tell you, or with their experience, they will tell you. That's the reason I said expertise, not going to a normal person. Go to the expertise in that field. They will tell you what is the solution. They'll give you the countermeasure. Now, the problem moving from the second quadrant to the first quadrant, which is, the cause, you got the countermeasure, implement it again. The third thing is, I don't know cause. I don't know the countermeasure. I want to complete the research here. I want to complete the research in, 3 years. I started 3 years. I want to complete this. And, I know certain things. I have to write papers. I have to get the chemicals done. I have to get the approval done. I have to go for the patent. So many things I know. I know the process, but still, I have a lot of problems. I'm unable to, get it done in 3 years. I'm unable to complete my research, which means the cause also I don't know, solution also I don't know. Then that calls for a Six Sigma project. Right. Now, if I extend my example of headache, I have a headache, but I don't know whether eat or not, I get a headache. Whether read or not, I get a headache. Whether go in the hot sun or not, I get a headache. Sit at home, eat all the 3 times, still I get a headache. I don't know what the cause here. What I'm supposed to do. I went to the expertise. They also did some checking, and they said they don't know. They're unable to get anything. So I don't know what to do. But that requires a further more analysis, further more tools, which is not used by the expertise. So Six Sigma will help you. The last quadrant, I started with caution. You could look at that. I don't know the cause, but I know the solution. Weird, isn't it? I don't know the cause, but I know solution. I don't know why I get headache. I take Anacin, I take a Dolafor, my headache will go. If I put some Jadu bomb, my headache will go. I don't know the cause, but I know the solution. I said, hold on. Then what happens? You are not killing the cause, which means there's a high probability the problem is going to come again. So whenever my computer hangs, the best solution now is reboot it. 10 times you reboot, your hardware will go for a 6. 10 times or 15 times or 100 times you keep eating Anacin or Dolafor or a painkiller, your kidney will go for a 6, isn't it? So be careful. Whenever a problem, solution, you don't know cause, immediately understand the cause. If you know the cause solution, go here. Don't know the cause, go to the expertise, take a project and come. Right? Now, hope you understand what is the problem and what are the sectors of problem and which problem qualifies for a Six Sigma route. So whenever there's a problem for which you don't know the countermeasure, you don't know the cause, right? You are in dark, then that requires a Six Sigma approach. Then if that problem comes from your existing process, DMIC, if not, DFSS. Whether it's a DMIC or DFSS, the first step is you need to understand, you have to create your goal chart. The first step is create your objective, create your goal chart. For the objective, you should understand the problem. Now you know what is the problem. Then you also put the problem in one of the 4 quadrants where you found you don't know the cause and countermeasure, and you are qualifying that for a Six Sigma approach. Now, okay, this project, you have to define the problem. You know the problem, you have to create the goal chart. What is goal chart? The goal chart has different, parameters. I need to switch back to the PowerPoint. I'm sorry causing you inconvenience, but I think, instead of simply I am talking or in simply seeing my face, you can see this, it will make more sense for you. Number 1, In the goal chart, what are things you're going to have? You're going to define the problem. 2, you're going to set the objective, which should be smart. What is smart here? What is a smart objective? Like you always want to be smart, right? A nice hairstyle, nice, coat suit or nice t-shirt, gym body, or, if it is the ladies have, you always want to be smart. This smart is not that. This smart objective is, when I say smart, of course, objective also should be smart. The S stands for specific. The M stands for measurable. A stands for attainable. R stands for, it should be realistic, right? And it should be, rewardable. And T stands for timeless. What is specific? Whatever problem I want to solve, I should be very clear about this is the problem and this is the point, this is the place I want to solve. I should not say, all the people in the world should live happily. This is a wish. This cannot qualify as a problem. Your problem should be specific. Your problem should be to the point, so that it should be specific. M, measurable. You should be able to set a unit of measure, and you will be able to measure your improvements. A, attainable. Say for example, I want to have high jump. I'm coming and I'm practicing high jump. Now I want to jump 4 feet. Now what is there? It's not, kind of at time, I want to achieve, 8 feet. I want 10 feet. Putting high is not attainable. Putting low is not rewardable. So it should be attainable, and then still it should be rewardable. That's what the A and R stands for. And finally, very importantly, have to all these things with the stipulated time. With the time frame, I'm doing a research, better let me do in 3 years. So that I get the right, I take an attainable project, I achieve the rewardable project, and it is specific, I know what I'm doing, and you can measure it, and I'm going to do within 3 years, so that I achieve. Right? Now, how to write the 6, I gave the 6 parameters, 6 key things for a goal chart, how to write a goal chart. First of all, we call this is the big why. There is a big why and small why. Big why, the objective. What do you want to achieve? The smart objective is called big why. Small why. Small why is the subset of the big why. Say for example, I want to achieve something big. Maybe in one shot, I will not be able to achieve it. So that I will achieve smaller goals, so that my smaller goals put together help me to achieve my bigger goals. Always, split the goals into smaller, split the objective into smaller goals and achieve. So that what happens? Multiple teams can work, or you yourself can work in a multiple timelines, and you can give specific focus to the small whys, so you'll be able to achieve. So these small whys together will help you to achieve a big why. And now something called BC. What is BC? This is boundary condition. See, today I am setting a target. Today I want to achieve a target. Now, with certain influencing factors today, I am saying this is what I'm going to achieve. Tomorrow that can change. The rules which is not under your control, the atmosphere, the things which is not under your control, but that is what you want for your project may change. That time you should be careful about the boundary conditions. You know how to change, how to adapt to that. And the last is CF, that is a contradicting factor. Meaning, I am trying to improve something. I am trying to improve something, and in the process, what can happen is I can mess up the other important things. Say, for example, I want to achieve a best quality. I want to achieve a product with the best. I'll take the same pen example. I'm going to produce 1 million pens. So I'm going to focus more on the quality. I'm going to get absolutely, I'm going to work on it. What can happen is you may do multiple round of inspection, which is multiple round of people. So your cost will go higher. Or your time, you'll be keep doing audit after audit after audit. Your time will go for a 6. So when you're focusing on quality, there is a big the adverse effect can happen on your time and cost. So you should be careful about while I'm working on the quality, what is the adverse effects, which the quality factors can come in, so which can adversely affect my objective, adversely get affected because of I'm achieving my objective. You should be careful about it. Finally, I have 2 more slides. I can show you 2 simple examples which will help you to understand the goal chart more clearly. First example, I have given a very simple example so all of you can understand. The big why. What you want is you are setting some health score for yourself. Say for example, you can set it in the way you want. This is changes from individual to individual. This one I have set for a person who have diabetes and BP, say for example. So what I'm saying is the big why is I'm setting improve self-health goal. I want to be here specific. Yes, improve the self. I'm not telling I'm going to improve the health score of the whole nation. I'm not saying that. I'm saying specifically, I want to improve myself. So specific. And this is measurable. I am today, my health score is 60. The health score is derived based on different parameters, right? Based on my weight, gives you 50 marks. My diabetes score gives you 25 marks. And my BP gives you 25 marks. 25, 50, I get 100. Out of the 100, today I'm at 60. I want to go to 90, right? This is my target. Now, if this is my big why, I want to improve the health score. How I will improve my health score? Now I'm splitting that into smaller objective, which is attainable objectives. What is that? First, I want to manage my body weight. Today it is at 85 kgs. I want to reduce it to 65 kgs. My diabetes today at 250, which I want to reduce it to 120. My BP today varying between the cysts and tests at 100 and 170, whereas I want to get it at 120/80. This is why I'm setting if I achieve these 3 things, my health score improve from 60 to 90. Okay. Now, what are the contradicting factors? Now, what happened? I am working on my health score. I'm keeping working health score. Morning I get up, my health, my score, my body weight, my diabetes, my BP. I'm keep wondering, but definitely I have some other activities. I will go to office. I have to do some business. I have to do some activity to my earning activities, my key active earning. If I mess up that, right? Forget about health score, right? You understand what I mean? Now, the other thing could be, I have some key personal activities. While I have this problem, while I want to improve that, always, I want to train, people. I want to share my knowledge to many people and I want to train people. So that is also, if it is not there, I psychologically get affected. Oh my God, I'm not doing anything. If I don't earn, I get affected terribly. If I don't do this key activity, personal activity, I get affected. So these 2 can be, while you're focusing there, you can miss these 2, which means these 2 are called the contradicting factors. And finally, the boundary factors is kind of, in the individual, this is vary from individual to individual, the other influencing factors. I want to improve my health score. I want to manage my key activities of earning and personal. Still, I want to improve, which means within what conditions I can. This is vary from individual to individual. Hope this is clear. Right, I given, if you see really, I given measure for everything. My score, I want to improve from 60 to 90%. Weight, I want to reduce from 85 to 65. These diabetes score and BP score, and my earning should be INR. If not more, I should earn whatever I'm earning today. If my activities, if not I'm not improving, I should at least maintain my at the start and target both are same. Hope you understand what I'm telling. Now, one last example. Very interesting example. Now, the big way is I want to publish a research. I'm doing a project A research. I'm doing a research project A. I want to publish paper on this on time. Today, I can see for various reasons, people are unable to finish within say 3 years or 3 years or whatever timeline you want. You're thinking that people are unable to finish within the timelines, which means, so you are saying that is beyond 3 years going, but I want to finish within 3 years. That's your big why. If you want to achieve this, what should be my smaller the split up wise, the smaller wise. One could be, this is the example I've given. I mean, you understand the crux of it, and you can change, or you can apply your points here. The big small way could be manage the writing and documentation time, manage the experiment and approval time, manage the pattern obtaining time. Everywhere, I have to, if I manage these things, if I understand what is this today, and I've set a proper process. If I manage these Y1, Y2, and Y3, and I get my project big Y done in the 3 years. Okay, now I'm focusing on my quality. I'm focusing on my time. My complete focus is I want to finish in 3 years, 3 years, 3 years. What can get hampered? What will get adversely affected? The quality of the product for what the project, right? You have to understand. So you should fix that quality. I will finish in 3 years, yet I will attain so much of quality percentage. Second thing, I want to do this. You know what? I'm putting more people or more time, I'm spending lots of costs in it. And at the end of the day, I feel, oh my God, I finished, but I spent a lot of money. No. So for your project, you fix what you are going to spend. For the project, fix what is the quality you want to achieve, because these two can probably get adversely affected if you focus on here. So definitely we'll focus on this, focus on these two also. Here for this, on these two, you need not work. On the contradicting factors, you need not work, but you have to always, monitor it. And finally, the boundary conditions. Today, I want to do this project, this research product. Now, the government rules and regulations, patent rules and regulations, the acquiring the chemical regulations are so and so, so and so, so and so. With these regulations, I am going to do the project. Tomorrow, for some reason, if these are going to change, that may affect my project. So at regular intervals, you better watch out the boundary conditions also. Friends, I am done for today's session. Right now, what's the problem. What is qualifying for Six Sigma. The 2 routes of Six Sigma: improve the process and the improve new process. And in the define, first we thought, okay, we had learned how to set the goal chart. In the goal chart, various parameters, the big Y, the splits, the small Y's, the contradicting factors, the boundary conditions, and the timelines for everything, and measure. So I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to come how to the next things. Now I have measured how I need to analyze this. What problem, what kind of analysis I'm supposed to do. If it is DMIC, what's the analysis, what are the tools, what are the statistical tools, what are the filtering tools. There are many. So I'll be teaching, I will be sharing my knowledge on that tomorrow at 6 o'clock. And over to Dr. Akshay. I'm sorry if I overshoot the time.
Oh, that was good. Thank you for the first day of this workshop on defining the problem, identifying the problem. And you very nicely listed the problems as they can be divided into small types, Y, Y1. And this also tells us that we need to know the processes very well to be able to, if we know the processes, only then we can go through the processes and improve them. So the viewers are requested to also, those who are not directly into business, into production, because a lot of examples Mr. Sethuraman gave was about quantity, time, can go back to the recording and then try to, to extrapolate that into your own setting, on your own professional workplace. And the last one is very important for the Ayush and the yoga practitioners or the physicians or scientists like us who are trying to refine our processes and trying to finish a project in a defined period of time. So there are some questions. Of course, a lot of them are very happy, super duper, lots of thumbs up for your talk. Congratulations. And I will start with a question that particularly one of the viewers was a little reluctant to ask, but it seems she said, am I okay asking this? I said, go ahead. What strategies and tactics of international marketing in pharma industry should be promoted for raw product? So I think she's deriving some inspiration from your using business models. So, and apparently she's also taking cue from our need for Atmanirbhar Bharat or a self-reliant India, which is trying to, capitalize on raw material. So she's asking what strategies and tactics of, although this may not be directly related to the processes, but your comment on what strategies and tactics of international marketing in pharma industry should be promoted for the raw product or the material?
Very simple. Set that. What do you want to achieve? I understand. You are saying for this, what is your goal? Right? What is that you want to really, you set that goal. Right?
Let us say to surpass the Chinese production of chemical A used in medicine.
Correct. So now chemical A. Now if I need to surpass chemical A, which is to surpass the Chinese market, now why I'm unable to surpass today? Right? Is it the quality they are giving, or the cost they are giving, or within the time? In simplicity, as a QCD, quality, cost, and delivery time. Out of the three parameters, interest of time, I'm only talking about these three. Out of the, in which parameter that Chinese market, in particular, be it Chinese market, any market for the matter, in which parameter I'm unable to compete with them. In other words, if I do what? If I reduce my cost, given short time, and give a better quality, right? Cheaper, faster, and best quality, will I be able to know about? Yes. Then tell me, now today, what is the cost you are offering? Say, I am offering at, X cost. What is the Chinese? X minus Y cost. So can I give X minus 2Y cost? How to set? I have to set a target, a lesser, a better target than the other, so that the consumers come to us across the globe. And, to do this, if I need to say, the simple detail, set a target. Then after that, say, for example, okay, I need to give a better quality. Okay, now what is the process we are following to produce a raw material? Right? So today I'm producing at, 3 sigma level. I'm producing a 97% quality. To make it 6 sigma level, what I'm supposed to do? Right? How I do the process analysis so that I can improve my quality. Now, today my cost is high, fine. Where you are based? Here comes the lean project. So, whole thing where you have fat in the system. Identify, do analysis, identify the wastages, pull them out, your cost comes down. The moment your fat comes down, your time comes, delivery time also getting shortened, right? So if I can answer, understand on what parameter I should overtake someone to get myself into the market, understand that, set a target for that, and work on the related processes. Is that excellent?
Yeah, we cannot find that out, but I think the comment will tell us. But I think you said it right. This is the way to approach in a quantifiable manner, and this is the tactic and the strategy, which looks logical, very logical. Yeah, this was the question, I think. Another question from Pooja saying, I'll just read it out from the Facebook. Is it acceptable to have two entirely different objectives for a common problem? And in the bracket, she writes, when problem is relevant to both the objectives. So is it acceptable to have two entirely different objectives for a common problem?
Yeah, I encountered this a number of times.
Really?
Yeah. 200 projects I said, I have done it. So there are. One caution. Now, any problem you take, right? The objective, the cause can be common for two problems, but when you're working, one project cannot have two objectives. You should have only one objective, only then you get the focus, right? So now objective should be one. So what can happen is, now a team is working on A objective, on B objective, but there are some common causes. So you can learn from the others so that the problem can be solved. Whomever identifies solution first, they can share. So the solutions can be shared over two problems, but one project should have only one objective, which I told you timelines, which is which definitely only then another team will have to focus, right? Now the caution is one objective. When I say, most of the time, whatever in my experience, what I encountered is, some people work on, when we are going, what happens is this project, two objective, one of the objective become a small y of the other project, right? There are cases happened, become a small y, which means, a project can have a big objective and a split subjective possible, big Y and small Y's related, however, altogether two different objective, no, you cannot have.
Okay, so I think that was coming from a research standpoint. Now, you in one of your last slides, you showed, this is a question from me, and I think I reflect a lot of viewers also. You showed that the time, 3-year time you named, if you have a 3-year period in which to finish or accomplish a research project, there can be getting chemicals, they can be getting things together, standardize the processes involved in, for example, developing a drug or isolating the RNA of the COVID virus. It could be anything. But then there is that approval part you mentioned. If you remember, you mentioned in
yes,
one of
yes.
How can
Yes.
we control that approval belongs to somebody else, a set of committee which will either approve, ask more questions, or maybe 10 questions, and that's not in your hand. How to control that process?
Beautiful, very fantastic question. I have a 2-point answer for this. One, that becomes your boundary condition. Today, there are some set of actions, there are set of rules out there. If you abide to those rules, the approval process may happen, right? Now, tomorrow, that may change. That is not under your control, right? So this is a boundary condition will give caution, saying that they'll give the caution to the team or to the individual. You know what? You're working at the objective, thinking that A, B, C, but that is changed now. If you go in this route, you are not going to achieve your project. Now, A, B, C has changed to D now. So to achieve D, you want to change it. See what happens most of the time, people give up. They take, you know what? I tried my best. They changed. If something is not under my control, they changed it. So what can I do? I'm dropping the project. Our point is, no, don't drop. You put so much of effort, time, money into it. You worked for 2.5 years. Now you came to that approval process change. There is no fun in dropping it. Now, what is the change approval? What is the thing you should find? How your process can be fine-tuned? Is it possible, fine-tuned, to go towards it? Because that is not your control. Right? Second thing is, even though the second point, my answer point is, even though the approval changes, there are possibilities without much strain. You attack few points in your approach, you'll be able to go there. Right? So while there are external factors which is not under your control affecting, the only possible is you have to change it. You cannot change the government rules.
Tone down the ambitiousness of a project, or that's what you mean? Yes. To get the approval faster.
Meaning ambitious. What I'm saying is that the rules, the approval process changed for what? For what it changed, right? Say for example, I'm looking for a virus. I'm looking into research.
Well, let me give you an example. Yoga is coming up, and not many people would agree that yoga can, for example, bring down the diabetes or bring down the sugar level, and that is a research project. And you want to do it on 100 people who are diabetics. And there are those people who believe that metformin or insulin will work better. Why yoga? What is yoga? We don't trust. This is all black magic. And those people, if they sit on the committee and keep rejecting the project, how do we, tone down the project? And how do we address this issue?
Doctor, almost you are putting a live problem on me. I can see that. Okay. I'll try to give an answer for this. Now, first of all, the first and foremost is I should have strong belief on my objective, right? I am clear on my objective. I know what I am doing, right? That is very clear. If I suspect my objective, you are not going to achieve. So first of all, I am confident my yoga is going to reduce the diabetes. I am very clear about it. Do this yogas on these stipulated times, every day do this, follow this, your diabetes is going to come down. Now, I have insulin. You take insulin. See what happens after taking a set of insulins. I'm sorry, the insulin takers. There's no, I'm not telling, I'm not against anybody. Now forget about the insulin for the matter. Any medicine, any chemical for the matter, on a long term, it's going to affect your definitely it's going to have a different effects on you. This is a proven facts. Right? There's nothing that we are telling. So definitely those, the medicine support, it will support you now. On a long run, it may not. Whereas yoga, you are not eating anything. You are only setting your, your breath, your internal organs and your pattern. You are setting your body, everything, in a perfect way.
Yeah,
you are working on
but we need the regulatory approval faster. The people sitting.
Obviously, there is data is going to. data is going to support you. I will give you an example.
I think pilot data will help. Maybe get more.
Absolutely. What has happened in Chennai, I will tell you. Now, for the COVID, there is an Ayurvedic center. Since it is not come out in papers, I'm not telling the name, but it's going to come out soon in 3-4 days. In Ayurvedic center, they claimed, I have a medicine which is going to definitely improve the COVID 38% more than the the allopathy medicines. Okay. Now they tried, they proved. How they proved? They applied this on many people and they proved it is working, and it is that the paper has been sent to government and almost it is approved. One of the person in research center, I know him. So this morning he called me and told me that, you know what, there are good news. The data has been, taken by the. So my point to you is, now we should have the positive data. Now I'm talking about not the COVID positive, I'm talking about the in diabetes. Positively I've cured, the positive cured data I have. Now, so I have checked on 100 people, say 97 people are cured. Other 3 people are not cured because 1, 2, 3. Right? So with this data, if we go, I mean, that's the only way with the data.
I think that's a very good answer. And it's also very, very pertinent to the audience here who belong to different fields. And I implore you and I request you all to please generate that positive data from your individual studios of yoga, Ayush clinics. Until we have this data, we will not be able to do a larger study, and then we will not be able to come up with a conclusion that this kind of a yoga protocol or this ashwagandha or this Ayurvedic drug can compare or do better in a certain disease setting. So please use the processes Mr. Sethuraman told us about and publish your data, document it, and then that becomes the positive data, which is the only way we can overcome the committees or the regulatory approvals. I think we will stop here because this was the first day. We'll let people let the idea sink down and they can watch the recordings. And then tomorrow there'll be more questions and more interactions. Do you have any last message to give before we log out?
Yes, sir. The last message for today is, now, when I'm teaching something, it will may be interesting because I'm taking only the day-to-day examples. It may be interesting, but you know what? The knowledge you learn will stay with you for some people 2 days, for some people max of 1 week. After 10 days, if I call and ask you, what are the 4 quadrants of problem? You may say 1, 2, you will fumble. For you to imbibe what you are supposed to do, apply it. Only the applied knowledge stays with you till you die, right? To be very frank with you, for this presentation, my preparation time was very less because I applied it time and again. These questions what doctor put on me, I mean, these are spontaneous questions and spontaneous answers are going on. Right or wrong, I'm able to give the answers because he applied the knowledge. So my last message is, I've explained you the problem and other stuff and the big wise, small wise. What you can do really, whatever problem you are working on, whatever thing you're working on, try to put the goal chart between today and tomorrow. Get that project in front of you so that, and tomorrow I'm going to give you how to collect the data or do the analysis. If you already have the data, you'll be able to implement the data, right? To do the analysis, now you can come with me, you can travel with me with your project. So that will give you a great applied knowledge, which is inevitable and which is very, very important, right?
Please
Thank you so much.
Yeah, please don't miss coming tomorrow. All the audience, please join us for the second day of the workshop. As Mr. Sethuraman said, it's going to be more engaging, more interesting, and more question and answer sessions. We'll try to keep the presentation shorter. I'll request Sethuraman so you can have more and more questions and more question and answers.
Yes, I will.
Thank you very much.
I will have the presentation only for a few time and I will open it for questions. Sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good time. Bye-bye.